Hello, my mates. I hope you're doing well. Today, I have gone full basic bitch, and I'm going to be doing one of those tier list videos that all the YouTube schmucks do. Today's list will center around the various styles of tattooing. As you can see, we have 5 categories. WTF bro at the bottom for the real stinky ones. Could be worse in it for, tattoo styles that could in fact be worse. Meh. It'll do if I think that style is fine for the most part. A bit of alright for styles that I would consider to be pretty fucking cool. And fucking divine, mate, for tattoos that look like they were done by Jesus. Hopefully that all makes sense. So we have 15 styles of tattooing on here. They are ignorant style, micro, neo-traditional, dot work, black and grey realism, Polynesian, trash poker, black work, biomechanical, traditional, new school, tribal, watercolor, Japanese, and geometric. Obviously, all of this nonsense is just my opinion, and to be perfectly honest with you all, I know nothing about art. I'm not a tattoo expert, I'm not a tattoo artist. I'm just here living my best life, judging tattoo styles, the majority of which I have very little knowledge of. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first up, we have ignorant style tattooing. If you're not sure what an ignorant style tattoo is, they tend to be very simple designs, normally just line work with no shading, and the designs seem to be intentionally shit. I would say they're kind of similar to like graffiti or like your old school sort of cartoon drawing. From my knowledge and seeing them pop up on Instagram and TikTok, these tattoos tend to be your pretty sort of DIY and not be done in your sort of traditional kind of tattoo studio. I absolutely don't advocate for any kind of home tattooing situation. However, from purely a design perspective, there's something super punk and almost ironic about intentionally having these kind of shit designs on you. I think I'm going to put this one in could be worse in it. Next up, we have micro tattoos. So as the name suggests, these are tattoos that are very small in size, tend to have very thin lines, and to be honest, tend not to stay very well. I personally am not a huge fan of these style of tattoos. There are a lot of great artists out there who can do a really great job with these style of tattoos, but the fact they tend not to stay as well as bigger designs really puts me off this style of work. This shit is just not for me personally. Sorry, internet. I'm going to put these one in WTF, bro. Don't at me. Next up, we have neo-traditional. This style, I would say, is a happy medium between realism and traditional. It's more realistic and more detail-heavy than traditional, but not as detailed and realistic as realism. Now, this is a style of tattoo that I personally wouldn't get. However, it's a style that I really love and have a lot of respect for. I love how bold the designs are, how much colour goes into them, and I think a really well-done neo-traditional tattoo is one of the sickest things in the world. This one goes in a bit of alright. Now, you may ask yourself, but he's just gushed over neo-traditional so much and yet he hasn't put it in the top spot. That spot is reserved for my favourite style of tattooing in the whole world, as we will see later. Next up, we have dot work style tattoos. As the name suggests, these kind of tattoos tend to comprise of a multitude of dots rather than full lines or your more kind of traditional shading. They tend to be quite intricate, and I would say they're not the kind of design that you can particularly read from a long distance away. You need to really press your nose up to these kind of tattoos to really see what's going on with them. Again, this style is not really for me. It's just not my thing. I will see a dot work tattoo pop up on Instagram or TikTok every now and again that makes me go, holy shit, that looks cool. But that tends to be the exception rather than the rule. I'm going to stick this one in could be worse in it. Sorry, dot work tattoo fans. This is my list though. Next up, we have black and grey realism. As the name suggests, these are photo accurate tattoos that are done using various shades of black and grey, and sometimes a bit of white as well. Now for me, this is a style of tattooing that's been absolutely bastardized in the last 15 to 20 years, with the likes of David Beckham bringing a real mainstream prominence to this style. I'm sure every single one of us has seen a dude walking down the street with a black and grey sleeve comprising of some roses, a pocket watch, a lion's head, some praying hands, and some clowns. Normally they've gone to the shittest, cheapest artist they can find, and if you talk to them about their tattoos, they'll tell you how pissed off they are about how faded it is, and they'll ask you where you got your tattoos done because yours have stayed looking so much more bold. Putting all that aside, I do think this is a style that can look really cool when it's done by the right artist. It does tend to be much more prone to fading quickly due to the nature of not having much solid black and line work in there. I have real mixed feelings about this style. I think I'm going to put it in meh, it'll do. I just wish that I'd see more really well done black and grey realism when I'm walking around in everyday life, rather than seeing terrible copy and paste sleeves. Next up, we have Polynesian. Now, I won't pretend to know a ton about this style of tattooing. I know that it's deep rooted in Polynesian culture and history. According to my research on the internet, these tattoos tend to comprise of like a series of geometrical patterns, mostly consisting of repeated triangle motifs, bands, and also areas of solid black. Now, aesthetically, this is a style that I find really fascinating to look at and dribble over, especially when they're really well done. I'm going to put this style in a bit of alright. Next up, we have trash poker tattoos. This is another style that I'm not terribly familiar with. To be honest, I've never seen someone walking around with a trash poker style tattoo. I wouldn't say it's a style that's particularly popular in the area that I live in the UK. From my understanding, these tattoos tend to comprise of photorealism in conjunction with some absolute fucking chaos and almost like big brush strokes. There tends to be a contrast between a lot of black and grey with then elements of red that are unrelated to the black and grey. I think that's the best way that I can describe it. I'm not really sure how I feel about trash poker, to be honest. Like, it's not a style that I would ever even consider getting on me, and I can't say that I've ever seen a trash poker tattoo online that's made me stop and go, fucking hell, that's a bit of alright, innit? I think for me, in my personal and incredibly humble opinion, this may have to go in WTF, bro. Sorry if that offends any people watching out there, but it's just not for me. Next up, we have blackwork style tattoos. This is a style of tattooing that consists of a lot of bold work and solid black shading. I have gushed over this style of tattooing in a lot of my videos before. I think this is a style that looks great on fucking anyone and everyone when it's done really well. I love how bold these tattoos are and how artists really embrace the limitations of only using black ink to create these super bold designs. This one is going in a bit of alright. Whilst this may be one of my favourite styles of tattooing, it's not the favourite, as we will get to soon. Next up, we have biomechanical style tattoos. These are comprised of images of machinery and gears and often involve like a skin rip, as if the tattoo is revealing that you are actually a robot inside or some shit. Now, I do think this is a cool idea, but at the same time, I fucking hate it. Like, this will offend some people, but there's just something so fucking dweeby about these tattoos. Like, I get that people who work with machines or are mechanics or whatever get these kind of tattoos, but there's just something pretty sickening about the idea of some geezer called Barry, who works at the fish and chip shop or whatever, getting one of these tattoos and being like, I'm a robot, everybody. No, you're a fucking loser, Barry. That's just my take. Obviously, people can do and get whatever tattoos they want, and fuck my feelings on it. This one goes in WTF, bro. Apologies for all those biomechanical tattoo enthusiasts called Barry who are unsubscribing in their tens right now. Next up, we have traditional. I fucking adore traditional tattoos. This is the style of tattooing that made me fall in love with tattoos and want to get tattoos. I would describe traditional tattoos as being rooted in flash designs. You know, back in the day, you would have gone into a tattoo studio and picked a design off the wall. They're often very bold and simple with a big clean outline, a simple design that you can easily read from a fair distance away, and a very limited amount of colours. I really hope this style of tattooing lives on for hundreds of years because it's just so fucking cool. We know where this one is going. This is the moment that we've all been waiting for. Traditional tattooing goes in fucking divine, mate. The highest compliment of which I am capable. Big up traditional tattoos. Next up, we have new school. I would categorise new school tattoos as being like the uglier brother of neo-traditional. I would say it's much more influenced by your sort of graffiti style street art and tends to use a lot of bold and bright colours, and they tend to look almost 3D, like they're jumping off the skin, which gives these style of tattoos a real sense of character. There is something really fucking annoying about new school tattoos. Like I was saying earlier, they have a real sense of character, but they're the sort of characters that you want to punch in the face and steal the lunch money of. Like, take this geezer here. This is like an ice lolly, and if this geezer was standing right in front of me, I would flush his head down the toilet and pull his little ice lolly pants over his head. Like, he's just so fucking annoying looking. And this feeling is not just reserved for this tattoo. I feel like this when looking at a lot of new school designs, and for that reason, this one is going in WTF, bro. Fuck new school. Next up, we have 90s style tribal, which I would describe as a bastardization of your Polynesian style tribal. You tend to have these kind of pattern designs and a lot of heavy solid black work. Tribal was a huge thing in the mid-90s and early 2000s, with a lot of celebrities sporting these tattoos. I do think they've aged like milk though. Although you do see people getting tribal almost ironically now as like a almost like physical meme. I personally feel sick at the sight of 90s tribal though, especially when it's badly done. And for that reason, into WTF bro you go, tribal. Next up, we have watercolor tattoos. Watercolor tattoos tend to be quite sort of bright tattoos, and the shading tends to have a kind of almost like gradual fade out like you would see in a watercolor painting. You don't tend to have a ton of line work in these tattoos, which leads to them not aging very well in my opinion. And over time, all these colors tend to combine together to create a sort of soupy mess. I'm offending some people today, I can feel it. I will say I have seen some really cool watercolor tattoos when they're fresh, but I've also seen many dreadful ones and many colourful messes from where they just haven't aged well at all. Watercolour tattoos going could be worse in it, as after all, it could be worse. It could be tribal or biomechanical Barry from the fish and chip shop. Next up, we have Japanese style tattoos. I quite like Japanese. I would say there's a crossover between traditional style tattoos and Japanese style tattoos, with Sailor Jerry famously being a massive fan of Japanese style tattoos and drawing inspiration from them, which he then applied to his own traditional style tattoos. Like traditional style tattoos, Japanese tends to involve a lot of bold line work and shading. They're easily readable and they feature a lot of black work. I'm a big fan of this style of tattooing. It's not something that I would necessarily get on me, but I love seeing it on other people, especially when it's done really well. I love how simple and bold the designs are, but they always show so much character. This one is going in a bit of alright. Lastly, we have geometric tattoos. I would describe geometric tattoos as the joining of a lot of shapes and lines to form like an intricate pattern or picture. I don't mind this style of tattooing. When it's really well done, I think it can look absolutely stunning. But this is something you definitely need to go to a specialist artist for though. It's not something that your typical run-of-the-mill tattoo artist can just bang out and it look amazing. I'm gonna finish this list up by putting geometric tattoos in meh, it'll do. Because after all, meh, it'll do. So that was my tier list of the various styles of tattoos. I realised that I may have been overly negative about some of these styles of tattoos, but that's just me. I'm a bit of a dickhead. This tier list is one of the lists that is available on tiermaker.com. All I've done is change the category names into things that made me laugh. I'll put a link in the description to where I found this tier list so you can have a go too if you want to, and you can tell me just how wrong I am. Give this video a like and hit the subscribe button and all that other YouTube bollocks for more tattoo related nonsense like this. I may do some more of these tattoo tier list videos. They're good fun for me and I hope you enjoyed this one too. If you like the music that you're hearing in the background, it was actually all produced by me. I have another channel where I post beats / instrumentals for singers to write songs to. So if that is something you're interested in, I'll put a link in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Did you hear that pop?